Hello, YouTube model railroader fans. I'm Ray. Welcome to the Boeville Newtown vlog. Howdy do that. Other things. This is actually vlog 25 with a couple of other little tidbits and interesting little pieces of information. This may get split up into a few parts, and yes, by the way, I finally kicked that stinking cold. Took me a bit. Anyway, got a couple things that I wanted to touch on, because I've kind of mentioned them in the past, and I think I may have actually mentioned it on vlog 24. As you know, I picked up some new rolling stock over the past couple of months, and even though I don't have a Waybill system yet, I still do use car cards. And what I'm talking about, for those that may not know, these here are car cards. Now, this one here is for a Eastwood boxcar, car number 50 or 8152. And of course, I'm trying to read this backwards, so you'll have to pardon me. Its type is XM and empty return to, and I don't have that filled in because I don't have anywhere to return empties to yet. And this one here is also for a boxcar. This one here is for the NADX. It's 80,032 is the car number, and it also happens to be a boxcar. Now, a couple things of note here. These here are actually on pieces of manila folder, and I'm going to show you how I put these together. This one here, as you can see, has been stapled together. Basically what it is the car card information itself, which of course keeps shining, gets white, the white shines back, but is basically glued to the manila folder, and then the pocket where the waybill would actually go down here is actually stapled to it to make the pocket. This one here I did a little bit differently. This one here is actually masking taped. I've done them a couple different ways, and I'm going to show you how this works, or how these are put together. And before I go too much farther too, these are some of what the waybills look like. Now, these here, as you can tell, let's start here. These are 4-cycle waybills, and there's actually 4 of them on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They haven't been cut out of the paper yet. And what happens is you just take these waybills, they get folded at this line, so you have a waybill 1, waybill 2, waybill 3, and waybill 4. So as the car makes its way around the layout, you can actually flip the card, or this little waybill inside the car pocket, and it'll basically, as David Pop mentioned, which is where I picked this stuff up from, the cars, you don't need to build a switch list. You don't have to, the only thing you have to do is just make up your schedule and the trains, and you can actually go into the waybill and tell it what train that car belongs in as it's moving around the layout. So you don't have to build all the extraneous other stuff that goes with it, which is really nice. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet. Obviously, the layout needs to get rebuilt first, and then I can start figuring out, okay, what are my train numbers, and if a car is a car that's going to get used on the Boeville Newtown itself and not a through freight, obviously the through freights are going to be real easy because that'll be a 2-cycle. They go from Richmond to Harrisburg, Harrisburg to Richmond. 2 cycles. So the 4 cycles, it'll be Richmond to Harrisburg on 1 cycle. The 2nd cycle will be Harrisburg back to Richmond. The 3rd cycle will be Richmond back to Harrisburg. And then the 4th cycle would be Harrisburg back to Richmond. And gee, guess what? When cycle 1 comes back around, the car is in Richmond, headed back to Harrisburg. So the 4 cycles work out for the through freights real easily. For the local freights, on the other hand, it gets a little bit more tedious, and that's where the train numbers are going to come in and things of that nature, because the way I'm envisioning this thing is let's say it's a local freight, and it's starting out in Richmond. Well, it's going to go from Richmond to Boeville on whatever train number that's going to be. That car gets dropped in Boeville. The yard switcher in Boeville builds it up into the next train. Motive power is assigned. It comes out of the yard. It switches its industries going from Boeville through Newtown to Harrisburg. And that's where it terminates. So that you'll have one card, it'll be basically getting it from the Richmond yard to the Boeville yard. And then once it gets in the Boeville yard, it gets routed into another train for local service, and so on and so forth. The Harrisburg trains work a little bit in reverse. The Harrisburg train obviously would come on the layout, would switch Newtown, whatever other industries are on that league, and then would drop it off in Boeville, and then from Boeville it would go in whatever direction it needs to go to. And that's another thing. It may be that a car could literally leave Harrisburg, go ahead and do its switching in Newtown, Wykert Hill, so on and so forth as it makes its way to Boeville, and it could literally be put onto a train leaving Boeville that just goes straight to Harrisburg. So there's other little opportunities and neat little nuances, per se, that are going to come in with those Waybills. But like I said, I'm nowhere near the Waybill system yet, but I do like the car cards because the way my layout is set up right now, it's done with switch list. You know what? Let me pause for a second. Let me go grab one. Okay, back again. So for the switch list, this here is a blank switch list. Unfortunately, it still has some markings on here. At one point in time, I was actually working on putting plastic over these and using a grease pen to mark these up, so that way it could just be wiped off instead of erased, because the erasing marks started leaving stuff behind. As you can see, this is for train south number 6. So that's a train that's leaving Boeville and actually headed south, which, with the way it works on my layout, even though, yeah, it's built up in Boeville, it's headed south, it actually hits Newtown. Newtown is going south to Boeville. So, like I said, this is one of the interesting little nuances with the way that this thing's built right now. A train that's leaving south from Boeville actually goes into Newtown and keeps on heading south. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense. But that's okay. We get past that. As you can see here, I've got this thing marked for basically 10 cars. Now let me show you what one looks like for an actual running train at the moment. This one here happens to be for North number 2. Right now its locomotive power is an Erie Lackawanna. Its locomotive number is 420. Yeah, 420. And the caboose obviously would be over here, and I don't have that marked in for some stupid reason, but trust me, it's an Erie Lackawanna as well, and of course I'm hiding my face, but that's okay. Nobody needs to see my ugly mug. Okay, now, on these switch lists, you see there's the car initials, the car number, the car color, the car type, departing or destination, and this here says this one here says the new Bolshide factory, or Bolshide factory, which these here are box cars that are getting dropped off there. And over in this column you have PU or DO, and no, PU doesn't stand for stink. PU is cars that are being picked up, and DO is for cars that are being dropped off. And this here says that these 2 cars are going to get dropped off. The remaining 3 of the 5 are holds. They'll stay on that train. Down the bottom here, there's actually number 9 and number 10 are actually cars that are going to get picked up by this train, North number 2. And it has the designations down here. Obviously, these are both box cars again. And then down here it has PU, which means they're going to be picked up. And like I said, no, it doesn't mean they stink. Now, I was talking about that's the switch list, and inside that switch list there's a Vermont Railroad boxcar XM, and I'll get into the designations here in a bit too, because we're going to actually work on a couple of the new cars. There's a Western Maryland boxcar. Those are the 2 that would get dropped off. There's a Pennsylvania gondola. That's a normal gondola because it's a GB. A GA would be a drop bottom. Again, we'll kind of touch on that. This one here is for an MTTX. This is a flat car. This here happens to be a container flat, therefore it's an FC. DUPX, this happens to be a tank car. Obviously it's a TC. And last thing on here is our caboose. Now, obviously, people would be like, well, why do you have a car pocket for a caboose? Well, it's because it's the end of the train. It's part of the train's manifest. And obviously those that are running the newer generation stuff, they don't have to worry about a caboose. Oh, and all of this sits in another pocket for the locomotive itself. And there you are. It's the Erie Lackawanna. This here happens to be a FP7, and its number is 420. So that's how these all work. So what happens is when the train is made up in the yard, and the motive power is assigned, the cards for the cars go into the car pocket. And all that is just a folded index card, and it's taped. And then the switch list is put together off of what cars are there and what needs to be picked up. And then the whole thing is just handed off to whatever engineer that's going to be. And I've actually got hangers around the layout for where these actually sit, because like I said, for Rikers Hill, the trains sit underneath of there, so these can just sit right in that pocket. Now, first off is the car cards themselves, and I'm probably up to like 10 minutes, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling or if this is going too fast. This is what the car cards look like themselves when they're first printed out. This is just a 4x8, 8.5 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and it gives you the cut lines, which are here, and then of course the fold line, which is down here, and then this is another cut line as well. So what I normally do is I take this, and in this case I've already glued a sheet, which looks like heck, because I was using the normal Elmer's glue instead of a glue stick, which I probably should have done because this looks like heck, but that's beside the point. It'll function for what I'm doing. It doesn't really matter. So basically the next step is to take our set of scissors here, and what we do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take and cut out, I'm just going to cut one of these out to start off with. And like I said, it's just elementary school style, cut down the lines as close as you can, and of course I've got a really nasty pair of scissors. But that's okay. I make do. Of course, it doesn't work when it tries to cut through masonite. So, okay, so the main cut's been made, so now we're just going to go ahead and clean this. Yeah, that gets cut there. Trust me, I've done that before. I've actually made cuts where I'm not supposed to make cuts. I've actually made cuts on the fold lines, and it drives me nuts, and I've got to go back and redo them. Got to pay attention to what you're doing with this. Okay, so we've cut out our car card pocket, as you can see. So this here is our fold line down here. So, and I really wish I would have thought about this, but I didn't. So we're going to have to do this. Oh, come on. Sorry. Plan ahead, Ray. It's always good to plan ahead. Popsicle stick to try and make a decent fold line. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to fold that up, hopefully on the fold line, or as close to the fold line as I can get it. And it's a little bit tough when it's been glued like this, but I mean, there is other ways to do this, obviously, and obviously I didn't plan this out very well, but hey, it actually didn't turn out too bad. And the only thing that gets me is, why is this bigger than... Okay, well, I think my printer kind of made these bigger than what they used to be, but that's okay. I can fix that later. You'll get the gist of it. So, there's our folded car card pocket. Now, the American Railroad Association, or AAR, has a designation for every car out there possible, and I've actually, a few years back, actually went and printed this out because I figured it would be a good reference, which it has turned into. So the first thing is I've already taken a look, and like I said, all the designations are in here. Your flat cars, your gondola cars, your hopper cars, your special cars, maintenance away, cabooses, refrigerator stock, tank cars, ventilator cars, and box cars. And why they ever called a box car an XM, I have no idea. But that's what it is. So, since we've been talking about the box cars, I've got a pen over here. we'll go ahead and we'll play around with this dude. So what we have here is we have a New Haven boxcar. So in the road name, I never go ahead and actually write these out unless it's absolutely necessary. So the short name for New Haven is NH. Just like that. And this here happens to be card number 39288. As seen on the boxcar. Okay? And its type is XM. And of course I hit where the glue was, so it didn't quite come out the way I wanted it, but that's close enough. So there you go. That's it. So now this boxcar can now be put on the layout and used once it's gone ahead and checked for by gauge and so on and so forth, and the couplers and everything else line up. And of course this card's absolutely no good because it's too big. I don't know what happened when I went ahead and printed that out, but I don't know. I'll have to take a look and see why it didn't, or why it expanded it. Anyway, so that's basically the car card Waybill switch list system that I use. I've been using it for a while now. One other thing that I want to do here real quick, because Mr. Carmine Alcoa has been pinging me about this, so we're going to go ahead and pull up something that I had talked about a long time ago. And that is this guy. This is an old Revell rubber band drive locomotive. And it is a plastic, from what I can tell. And one of the neat things is, provided I've got it on the track, which apparently I do, but it doesn't want to move. Well, the rubber bands are still there. The rubbers are still on the wheels. Ah, I see. The belt's real loose. That's what the issue is. The the belt got real loose. Well, one of the things I was telling him is that real low power, it used to sit there and just do it like it's doing now, just sit there and idle. Before that clutch actually kicked in. But it seems like I've got some work to do on this guy. Not that I actually plan on running it anytime soon, but a little piece of nostalgia. Let me fix the camera here. There we go. Just a little piece of nostalgia. Like I said, I'm going to have to take it apart and fix the rubber band that goes between the flywheel and the wheels, because there's a problem. I think the belt shot, which doesn't surprise me. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short or not short because it's actually run quite long. Sorry. I actually wanted to get into something else that I've been looking at because of issues that I was having. But I think I'm going to save that for another vlog. We're going to go ahead and get this one uploaded, and then I'll come back and we'll do vlog number 20. Well, that'll be vlog 26 and another howdy do that. So I appreciate everybody popping in, taking a look around, so on and so forth. I'm almost up to 6,000 views, and I'm still at 120 some subscribers. So I know, like I said, I just had a nice conversation over YouTube with Mr. Carmine Alcoa. I'll have to pull up his YouTube channel and put it at the bottom of this thing. Shout outs to Derek Glass, Sparky, Dave, Sparky 107. Yeah, our buddy up north. He's been back in looking around. Walt from Walt World's been in looking around. John Model Railer. I finally got it right. He's been in there looking around again. I got a new, I think it's a fairly new person. I'm not sure how long they've actually been a subscriber, Vortex Tamer, and I'm not sure what their first name is, but Vortex Tamer has been bouncing around on my vlogs as well, going back and taking a look at some of the old stuff that I had and trying to catch up on my new stuff. So, shout outs. They're all good. Likes, subscribe, leave your comments. Greatly appreciate it. I'll try and answer as many questions as I can. That's what this is all about, folks. We share knowledge. We help each other out. You all know the deal. You wait for the highball. Green tracks ahead. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one. Be safe.